Yes, yes, yes. Easy people, welcome back to my channel at Big Steve MCFC. This is my first live. We are the South Stand. We are the South Stand. We are the South Stand. So I thought, what better name, you know what I mean? We don't want to talk about the kit packs. It's all memories and vibes from years ago. And people start crying, getting upset. So we thought, let's drag it back. Let's drag it to the Etihad. We are the South Stand, the best stand in the stadium. And today, my first ever show, I've got two guests with me. Two of my friends, good friends of mine. MCFC Daps, how's it going, man?
Good to be here. Good to be here. I love the name as well, by the way. When it came through, I was like, yeah. It's time that people start understanding about the South Stand as well. That's the thing.
No, it's cool, man. I think it took a while to get going, but the South Stand's where it is now. You know that yourself, innit?
Yeah. And it's the same at every new ground, though, isn't it? Because fans have to work out where everyone's going to sit and whatever, and it takes a while for everyone to get together into the right end. So,
you mean all the piss cans to get together and congregate and have a beer? And
but you know what it is, though? The atmosphere is different when you walk into, especially certain blocks in the South Stand. When you walk in there, the atmosphere is different to the rest of the ground. You know what I mean? Like with the flags and everything. And
no, it's good. It's good. And my good friend Luke from Feed the Goat podcast. How you doing, mate?
I'm good. Good. How's yourself?
No, we're all good, mate. Well, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. International break. When you're in love with it, when you're in love with this badge and you're in love with this crest, and it's 1 week out of your life, starts to pull on the old heartstrings, especially with the month we've got coming up, innit?
I've been missing it. I'm not going to lie. I need to get this weekend here already.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy. Big shout out to everybody in the chat, though. You know what I mean? Everyone's bigging us up in the chat. South Africa and that.
You know what? With this international break, though, I feel like we need it. With what's coming up, I feel like we needed, like our hearts needed it we needed like a couple of days off. We could have done without injuries and whatever, but
that's the one thing I was going to say. There's one injury that's happened that,
No, listen, that's where I'm going to start. Yeah, I thought to myself, you know what? Let's just start it off with. As soon as the England game come on the other night, I had it on in the corner, and then it come up. There's been an injury in the warm up. Straight away, my heart just froze, and I looked up and seen Ben White, and I thought, no way, Stones. And then I just thought to myself, that means Nathan Ake and Laporte for the biggest running of the season, and I can't lie. It ruined the game for me then until I'm looking on Twitter for news, what's happening with Stones and that. And obviously it come out, it wasn't that serious. So what did you guys think? Was you shitting it or are you thinking Nathan Ake is taking us to the Champions League?
Go on, Luke, you go.
Yeah, pretty much shitting myself, if I'm honest. Obviously, when I was kind of doing the same, hunting around to see if there was any news for it, how serious it was. But like you said, things have came out saying it was just a knock and kind of didn't want to take the risk. But I mean, obviously, anytime we hear about an injury to John Stones, we worry, as we've known in the past. So it's one of those things, like when you hear that, you're like, oh, Jesus, like kind of resting on your laurels a little bit there. But the good thing is that kind of Diaz is coming back slowly and surely as well. So potentially he could then come back into it as well. But yeah, you're never confident if you hear Ake and Laporte as the two centre-backs starting there, really. As we know.
Diaz is back in training already, right?
Yeah, he's back.
That was a weird one because City put a picture on of him smiling and then he put Diaz back in training. And then apparently it got removed and it was an old picture. So whether City were trolling someone or what, I don't know. But they had my hopes up. But yeah, Diaz coming back is going to be obviously important. But yeah, the John Stones thing, it was a little bit one of them. I mean, listen, I'll be honest with you. I've not give Ake a lot of credit over the years. I was one that always thought he had a mistake in him. I always thought other teams could target him. But the last few times Nathan Ake's played for me, I think he's done himself justice. I think he's put a good shift in. So I'm not... Listen, he's not up to the standard of Stones and Diaz. But listen, you know, some players come in when they get the chance. They take it, but it is what it is. We just got to roll with what we got, boys. We can't buy anyone. We just got to roll with it.
Yeah, right. I think they're right on Ake, though. I think you know what, right? At the start of the season, we kind of on Feed the Goat, we had this thing where when we like, or in fact, no, he's been here 2 seasons now, isn't he? But it would be one of those things where when we'd be looking at the games, right, where we'd look like, I remember he played when we lost to Leicester 5-2, right? And there'd be certain games that he'd always be playing, but I'd be looking at it thinking, I can't necessarily blame him for the mistakes though, but there seems to be this overruling thing that every time he fucking plays, we're conceding goals. But then, like you said, I think this time round, since it came out about his, was it his dad?
Yeah,
his dad passed away. Yeah.
Since that came out, it's like been a change of form, and he started to look really good. And you know, he, like you said, he could be that guy that steps up now if need be. And all of a sudden, I mean, let's be honest. Start of last season, we would have never thought that Diaz and John Stones would have had the partnership that they had. Like,
no.
So
yeah, Stones. They would talk about Stones leaving, but I think same with Stones. Once he got his chance, he knuckled down and that. But listen, lads, it's before we start going into the run we've got coming up and that. Another little bit of news broke today. Obviously, Joe Hart, former goalkeeper of ours, great servant to the club. Man City fans loved him. It come out about the way Guardiola basically broke it to him that he was not in his plans. Pretty ruthless. I don't know if you've seen it. He was basically like, look, you're not for me. You can't do what I expect you to do. And Joe Hart was like, well, I've never done it. Are you going to give me a chance? And basically reading into it, it was like, nope, I've just made my mind up. I mean, at the time, I thought it was harsh on Joe Hart. But now when you look at the success that Pep's brought and you look at how big Ederson is and everything comes from the back, you've got to say, listen, Pep's right. But the thing is with Pep Guardiola, this is what I said on another stream about Arteta coming in Arsenal and throwing his weight about. If he came in Arsenal, threw his weight about first, he'd have got bombed out the door because it's like, you know what? You're fucking Arteta, mate. We're not listening to you. But Pep Guardiola, he did it at Barcelona. He came in, Ronaldinho, players like that, got rid of him. He come into City and just went, no, I don't fancy it. And us as City fans, we were like, what? Joe Hart? But then we all sort of thought, you're Pep Guardiola. You know what I mean? We trust you. But what do you guys reckon about it? Do you think, obviously, it was a bit harsh on Joe? Or do you think, look, if you want to be with the big boys, you've got to make big decisions?
Go on, Luke.
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, it's kind of the right thing. But obviously, like you said there, kind of at the time, it's a bit unfair with like the servant that he's been to the club and kind of how much he's been a part of our legacy from the start, like winning the FA Cup and such, and then going forward from there. But it's kind of that cutthroat realization, isn't it? When it comes to like new managers coming in, they kind of have an idea of football they want to play. And sadly, he wasn't a part of that. And I think also on that basis, someone like Joe Hart isn't going to be happy being second fiddle. So I think that's the way you've got to look at it. And yeah, he wasn't quite up to scratch with like his distribution and the way he plays in comparison to like, we got Bravo, but he wasn't the best either. But yeah, I think you've got to be ruthless in this kind of game, haven't you? And yeah, that's the way you've got to see it really in hindsight. Because look what we've gone on to do.
I think, Steve, what you said was bang on. That I remember it very well. I even remember the last game well. When he joined, we were looking forward to him joining. So when he joined, it was kind of one of them ones where none of us were happy, right? Joe Hart was a long-standing servant. He was a leader from the back, although he wasn't captain, and he'd been good for us. If you look back to some of the Champions League nights, how Joe Hart kept us in it. And I know we all didn't like it, but at the same time, we didn't want to be too against Pep because it was like, you know what? We've asked for a world-class manager. We've got a world-class manager. We can't go against it. And then I remember the last game, strangely enough, Hart was doing stuff with his feet that he'd never done before. and the whole of the Etihad were kind of singing about not wanting him to go and whatever. But we all knew there was a reason. And then when Bravo came in, it was like, what? We don't really see no difference. But for me, what that showed was we just overall didn't have the confidence in playing out from the back. We didn't have the players to play out from the back. So like you said, the minute we got Walker, we got John Stones. Who did we get? We got Ederson, Walker,
We got Mendy as well, didn't we?
Mendy, yeah. And it all clicked. And if we think about it, what I would say is, if we look at Zach Stefan at the moment, right, when he plays, yeah, there is a noticeable difference playing out from the back. There's just not the same confidence as when Ederson plays.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So
Ederson,
it is like Pep I don't think Pep really ever wanted Claudio Bravo. It was just a case of that was all that we could get in kind of 3 weeks, 2 weeks or whatever we had to get someone in. And now when you look at it, Ederson, for me, he probably is potentially the biggest signing that Pep made.
Yeah, 100%. How they identified him and that passing range. I mean, I say it a lot, the way we press, and sometimes when teams press us, they try and make us force a mistake at the back. It never happens because Ederson's that cool. He can dink it into little pockets over the fullback. He can assist from his own box. We've seen that. So I think Ederson's good. I think Ederson's changed goalkeeping in this country, like Manuel Neuer did in Germany, and obviously, but I think Ederson in this country, you see keepers now, you see teams like Fulham coming to the Etihad and playing it out from the back. You see teams like Watford trying to play it out from the back, and it's all about that. I think if you're a young goalkeeper now in an academy, I think them days of you just being big, tall, strong, being able to shot stop, they're finished, because you can be a smaller keeper and not the best actual goalkeeper, but you could be brilliant with your feet, and teams will want you ahead of someone who's a traditional goalkeeper, big, strong, powerful. And that's 100%. How football is now. Mad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not just, like you said, it's not just his distribution, it's his calmness. There's a few things like, remember the season when Mane took his head off?
Yeah.
He came flying out. Mane took his head off. And the thing that stood out to me with that is goalkeepers often have this thing about them where when something happens, they change. Like I remember a prime example was David James back in the day. When he made a few mistakes, all of a sudden he started doubting himself at crosses. Ederson obviously had his head taken off coming flying out. Came back a week later, was doing exactly the same thing. Didn't care, didn't change. And the same with when he makes mistakes. It doesn't change the way he plays. And it's just that confidence on the ball, that confidence to come out. All right, you know what? A few times he's got it wrong. He's come out and he's been caught out. But generally, him coming out has broke down so much more that it's that confidence and belief that what he is doing is the right thing. And just that he always sticks to it. I think he honestly... I just, every time I see an Ederson contract extension, I'm happy because he's still young as well. For a goalkeeper, he's still very young.
Yeah, he's massive. What do you think, Luke? What do you think about Ederson and the way he's coming? I don't think he can get any perfect from the way he's been.
No, definitely. And I think he's kind of, like you said, he's kind of revolutionised that goalkeeper position now, because it's kind of leading on from that total football ideal, isn't it? Where any player on the pitch should be able to play any position. And that's what you kind of get with Ederson. Like, with the ball playing ability, he could kind of potentially play midfield if ever needed. Like, obviously, kind of drastic to say that, but that total football idea that Pep instills is kind of, if you need like your goalkeeper, they should be able to play the ball out from the back and kind of develop it from there. And like, as you're seeing when Pep did it with Neuer, it's kind of just revolutionising it again. Like you said, playing assists into, like, getting assists from his own box is kind of what most keepers are looking to do now as well. And I felt revolutionise that position.
I felt a bit sorry for Joe. I mean, Joe Hart will always go down as a Manchester City legend. You know what I mean? He's a big part of what we were trying to do. But I think it's just a classic sign of Manchester City levelling up. I think Pep Guardiola was watching for a long time, realised what he needed to do. But listen, Joe Hart knew for a long time that Pep Guardiola was coming. So if Joe Hart surely had friends in football that knew what Pep Guardiola demanded, he could have been getting the ball rolling. He could have been doing extra training, trying to get ready for that. But he didn't. I think Joe Hart at the time was on top of his game, probably thought, this club's my club. I'm never going to get pushed out. And then he came in and listen, he got shoved out. But his career was a bit mad, and it still is a bit mad. I mean, he looks like he's found a decent home at Celtic. But for the calibre of Joe Hart, if you'd have said when he left Man City that Joe Hart would end up at West Ham, Torino, Burnley, Tottenham, all as understudies really, and then end up at Celtic at number 1. That to me, no disrespect to Celtic, just looks like a slow decline. So you end up in Scotland. So, it hasn't all gone well for Joe, but I think Man City came out of it all right. You know what I mean?
I think that's one thing we take from it, isn't it? Like, I don't think any of us would regret the fact that we sold Joe Hart. I think we all would have just wished that Joe Hart would have, I really wanted him to go Italy and do well over in Italy, re-establish himself. You know what? And then I would have happily, if he stayed abroad for the rest of his career, having a sensational career, just not in England, then I would have been happy for it. It's just sad, seeing one of our legends kind of
he had a bit of a mare in Torino as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think he had a really bad start to life in Torino as well. Really bad.
I think they thought they'd signed a superstar because Torino, obviously, England goalkeeper coming to Torino, and then it was like, what's going on here? But I think Joe was low on confidence. I think it hurt him.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably.
But listen, fellas, I've got to touch on it because everyone's mithering. DMs are going mad. Every single message seems to be about it. Haaland. The Haaland update. I'm calm, because I told you guys what I know about Haaland, so I'm calm. But everybody DMing me every single day to ask me the same thing. All I'm saying is relax. We're in a great position. We need a striker. The big Norwegian fella and his dad have got links to Man City. I got told off a very good source who I believe wouldn't steer me that things are progressing well and it's done. People were bigging up these Madrid rumours this week. Oh, Manchester City have missed out on him because he wants to go to Madrid. Well, did anyone think that Madrid got pumped off Barcelona a week ago? So the Madrid press, need to get these positive vibes out in Spain because all the Madrid fans are after killing everyone. So they put it all out there that Haaland rejected City's going Madrid, and all the Madrid fans, the fickle ones, are sat there having a siesta thinking, we're getting Haaland. It's a load of bullshit at the end of the day. People need to relax, innit? I mean, you guys have been involved in streams and it's gone a bit Haaland mental. What's your take on it all?
Luke.
Until I see him signed in a shirt, that's all I'm taking from it. Like, I can't deal with this kind of back and forth of where he's going, whether it's signed or not, whether it's been agreed. Until I see him at the start of the transfer window in a City top next to Shicky, that's all I'm going to say.
You've got that old Man City vibe about it where, I remember, and Daps will remember years ago when Jeff Thomas said that he'd walk across broken glass to get to Main Road and he ended up stopping at Wolves. So that was, we're used to a load of bollocks like that. You know what I mean?
Imagine Jeff Thomas, now Haaland.
That's what I'm saying. In the day, Jeff Thomas, I remember getting dead excited at school thinking, wow, Jeff Thomas, he's coming, man. Next minute, signs for Wolves, you know what I mean? I'm like, what the hell?
Well, it's like Jorginho, isn't it? Jorginho is a good example of that. Sorry, hijacking that transfer. But like I said, I'd love him to come to the club, but it's kind of one of those, isn't it? Until you see him sat there in a shirt, signing a deal, I'm not going to believe anything.
That's a good point there that Daniel makes, that you're not going to see the Haaland announcement. You don't want to disrespect the Dortmund fans. Plus, you don't want to disrespect Dortmund. That they're in a bit of a title race. They might not be too close, but the last thing they need as a football club is their striker coming out saying he's signing for a team. So I literally don't expect any announcement till the season's finished myself.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. And I think it's kind of just, I think there's so much talk about it that we kind of just should leave it to the end of the season, see what happens. Like, it's always going to be back and forth until he's ended up putting a signature to whatever club he's going to. Like, even until the day before, there's going to be rumours that he's going elsewhere. So just wait and see.
Have you ever seen a striker in this position in world football? Literally every single club in the world would take him. He can literally write down his own wages. His dad can say what he wants. The agent can say what he wants. He's literally got the world at his feet. I mean, is that down to a lack of absolute world-class strikers, or is that just the way the world's going? Because I remember years ago, you'd look across all continents and there'd be strikers all over the world that you fancy. But now, when you're a Man City fan and you're looking at the top level, and we've got to replace Aguero. There's only two for me: Mbappe, who we know is basically all Madrid, and Haaland, and obviously Kane. But now the Kane thing is starting to snowball again. Whether we go down that road, but I mean, other than them three, everyone else is really a bit of a gamble.
You know what it is as well with us now is, like you said, firstly, we're replacing Aguero. This isn't like anything we've done before. Even when Aguero came in, that wasn't replacing anyone of any sort of level. And secondly, we're so much bigger as a football club. Then you've got the fact that Haaland's name has been being linked with English clubs for what, 4 or 5 years now, if not longer, because of his dad's connection. And obviously, I think initially it got apparently quite close with Man United. Apparently, I don't think it did. I don't think his dad would allow him to go to a club associated with Roy Keane
when he was at Salzburg.
Yeah, that's it. But I don't think his dad would. I don't think his dad would be willing for him to go to a club after what happened with him and Keane. I don't think. And you know what? I don't think he'd disrespect his dad like that either. His agent's done a sensational job at getting him out there. And obviously, you know what? His record. We did a show on Feed the Goat where we went through all the striking options available, and when you look at his ratio per game compared to every other striker, it's just not comparable. It really is. You know what? And we started off the stream, Steve, showing Aguero's goal per game ratio, yeah, and then every other striker we put up there, apart from Haaland, were just nowhere near. So he's a phenomenon. Yeah, every stream I'm starting to get asked on it now. Like you, I'm like Luke. Until I see our club, not even Sky or BBC, until I see our club release the picture, I usually don't. You know, if we look over the last couple of transfer windows, we've had the Ronaldo hype, we've had the Messi hype, and it's all boring, to be honest, because everyone knows we've got the money. Everyone knows we're willing to spend. So any of the big names just get linked with us. The only thing with this one is, like yourself, I have been told things that make me more confident from sources that generally haven't been wrong in the past. So I'm kind of like, and then the other thing is, along with them, I'm seeing other little reports, like a few sources out of Madrid now saying that Madrid are very confident that he's joining City. I've seen, obviously, the ones that we've seen recently is that apparently he's turned down 500 grand a week. He's turned 600 grand a week down. Now, and everyone's kind of, rival fans are making a big deal out of the fact, he's turning down City. Well, no, what that should tell you is he's now in negotiations with City, right? Because he's not turning down money if he's not in negotiations. So if he's turning down money, that means it's progressed, right? I saw a report yesterday that even apparently we've agreed to give his agent some money, that we've actually now agreed on the fee for that. So, and yeah, I know the season's not over, but we got Pep in before the season was over, because sometimes, sorry, I just got to stop my daughter from something. Sometimes you have to get these deals done early. Like with Kane, we spent our whole summer trying to chase Kane and didn't get it over the line. We can't go another summer and not get a striker. So I think for that reason, I think we've just thought, let's just get out there, get it done. So the beginning of the summer, we know he's coming. And I think you're bang on. We won't see an announcement until maybe Dortmund's season is over in one way or another.
Don't forget, fellas, we've signed Alvarez as well, and Alvarez is going under the radar. For the money we've paid for him, it's not even a gamble. And obviously, I think he was South American Player of the Year. The goals he's scoring out there, he looks like he's got that South American grit about him, where he's a bit of an angry one. And I love all that, man. The Tevez vibes, the Aguero vibes. And, so don't forget, we have signed a striker. This kid is coming in. It's just you just don't want a long, drawn-out auction of Haaland, because it becomes boring, innit? And Man City over the years, like with Bernardo Silva signing, we just got in at the end of it, bang, got the signing, got it done, and we concentrate on the summer. And I hope that we don't have another Kane situation. I hope that we get in there, and we get the signing done and we move on. But that's a great point there on the chat, where he says Haaland and Alvarez, will it impact Delap? Now, I don't know about you guys, but Delap's been on that bench a few times in games where we've been winning 4 and 5 and not even been put on. So I don't know what's happening there. Do you?
Really don't know with that one.
I don't know if we spoke on this before, right? Yeah, you could say that bringing in Haaland might kind of delay the progression of Delap. But another point is that it could also help the progression of Delap, because currently the way we play football and the type of player that Delap is, to bring Delap in would mean changing our style of football.
Yeah.
Haaland and Delap play similar football.
They do. And someone told me that someone said Delap doesn't play Pep football. And I was like, now you're throwing a spanner in the works, because now you're getting me thinking that Haaland doesn't play Pep football, but surely these players, I'm sure if Pep gets a young player, he can mould that player. We've seen him mould Zinchenko into a left back, Fabian Delph into a left back. We've seen him mould certain players to suit his team. And I think if you get them young enough, you can do that. But I think next season, if we have got Haaland, Alvarez, and Delap, do you think anyone's going to leave? Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus. What do you think, Luke?
I think on like the Alvarez side as well, I think he can play on the right. So then there's that kind of flexibility in regards to hitting. So if it's like Haaland and then say him on the right, the only one I could really see going is Jesus. I know Daps is a big fan of Jesus, but I think that's the only one. Like, there is touted reports, kind of Juventus coming in at the end of the season, like inquiring about him. I wouldn't like to see him go, because I do rate him as a player, but I just think that's the only one I could see really leaving. Because obviously with the likes like Mahrez, Sterling, Grealish obviously isn't going anywhere with the price tag that we paid last season. But yeah, I think Jesus is kind of the only one out there really. Maybe Sterling on a whim, but it's only Jesus really I could see going.
Well, I see. We've got 4 players whose contracts are up in 2023. Jesus, Sterling, Mahrez, Gundogan. 3 of them play on the wing. If you look at it, the one that's going to be able to demand the most money is going to be, as in wages, is going to be Sterling because of his age and his performances. Jesus is similar age to Sterling, but Jesus hasn't got the English tax for starters. I said on the stream last night, I honestly believe that all of them, if offered the right money, stay. I think all of them want to stay. They want to challenge. Why would they want to go? They're all happy in Manchester. Is it Gundogan or Mahrez or both? The other half's pregnant.
Mahrez,
and she's from Manchester, right?
Yeah, she's Ashley Ward. Used to play for City. It's his daughter.
For real? Ashley Ward's daughter.
Yeah, wow, from the Housewives of Cheshire. Yeah, Housewives of Cheshire. It's
okay. So I feel like with that connection, Mahrez might not be. I think he'd probably want to stay in Manchester.
I don't see Mahrez leaving.
Nah.
I don't see Gundogan leaving, because Gundogan's spoke well about City the last few weeks, saying he's really happy here. I do see Sterling leaving. For me, with Raheem Sterling, I love Raheem Sterling, and I've always respected him. And I think his career at Manchester City has been brilliant, and the numbers he hits and all that, he's very, very underrated. But I also think, for me, that Raheem Sterling hasn't got a connection at Manchester City. To me, he doesn't connect to the fans. I know that's mad, and people can say, but when you go week in, week out, certain players connect. You can see the way they celebrate, they jump in the crowd, they this, that, and the other. And I know it's not all about that, but I just think Raheem Sterling treats football as a job, which is nothing wrong with that. I think he comes to work, does his job, goes home. And I think Raheem Sterling's in a good position where he doesn't get emotionally attached to teams. I think he can just, if the money's right and it's better for Raheem and his family, I think he could just leave and walk away and do his job. And I think, do we need him? Don't know.
I think the only thing with like Jesus, though, you've got to look at like his age in comparison to the others. Being 24 and kind of seeing these players coming in, is that going to make him have a second choice and think, actually, I'm still at a young age, these players aren't. Is there an opportunity for me to go elsewhere and have a fresh start? And also City thinking on the back of that, he's the youngest, we can potentially get the most out of him. Yes, I'm fully aware of like the English tax that comes in kind of with Sterling. But for me, like Jesus is kind of the only one that's like he's 24. You kind of think, could you cash in on that and get a fair amount for him, even though he's out of contract next year?
I think Steve, I'm with you. This is what I said on the stream last night, and I've been saying for a while. Sterling, you know what? I've never spoke on what you said before, but that is very true. The connection thing's interesting. The one thing I always ask people is who Sterling supports, right? And no one can tell me.
No.
QPR, isn't it?
Nah, didn't he come? He came through there. I think he came through their academy because he's from Northwest London. But
yeah, he did come through their academy.
I've never heard him claim a club, and he's a very confident lad. Always has been, and I think he just, he knows it's a job. I think he would stay at City. I think he's happy to stay at City, but at the same time, I think he would be out there saying, "Do you know what? But this is what I want, and if you're not going to pay me what I want, I'm not saying I'm leaving. What I am saying is I'm going to go and play the field." Now, I said on the stream last night, and I said, you guys, you've got played down a bit, but I just keep thinking Arsenal. For some reason, he's from Northwest London.
Yeah, I said it.
Arsenal, and the main reason, I mean, I gave the relationship with Arteta we all know about, right? The fact he can play left, right, central. The fact he's a leader to young players, which he definitely is. The way we saw him come out, defend young black players before. He's a leader to young players, and it doesn't get spoke about enough. They've got a lot of young players there. I think Arteta would be looking at Sterling thinking, I want a bit of Sterling at Arsenal. And the other thing is, I think Arsenal's bored that, yes, they've changed their philosophy a little bit, but they love a shirt sale. And Raheem Sterling will sell shirts for Arsenal big time. So I think, and also the way they got rid of Aubameyang and all of them lot, they've got a nice, healthy wage bill that they could throw at Sterling. So I would not be surprised if out of all of them, the one that I think we see move would be Sterling to Arsenal in the summer. And they'll get him on a lot less because he'll only have a year left on his contract.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And for me, I believe with my blessing, I wouldn't be too worried about it if he went and decided to go and he wanted to better his career. I think he's done well for Man City and I'd let him go. But there's certain other players, though. Obviously, Riyad Mahrez having a great season. I'd want to keep Riyad. But Sterling, look, that's just my opinion on Sterling about the connection. I just sometimes, when I go to games and there's a bit of passion involved and things like that, I see him walking away from the celebration, or at the end of the game, I see him just sort of walking off. And I think that just might be his character. But Raheem Sterling, for what he's achieved in English football and the way he's come to Man City and like you say, the abuse he's had for England and things, he's a role model to every up-and-coming player now. You know what I mean? He's done really well, but only the summer will tell. Listen, I don't want to dwell too much on Haaland and that. At the end of the day, I want to move on to the defensive midfielder, because Fernandinho, obviously, we know he's getting on a bit. We wheel him out every now and then, get with his wheelchair, throw him on the pitch, let him chop a few people down and that, and do his old stuff. But Pep wants to give him another year of it, but surely to God, we've got to be looking at a replacement. I mean, we've got the kid Lavia in the academy who has been on and around the fringes, but there's talk of a kid from Monaco, Tchouameni or whatever he's called. Obviously, he's a great player. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you give Rodri the main man, Fernandinho carry on another year what he's doing? Or do you think it's time we bring some understudy in now, freshen it up a little bit and go down that road? I'd go and ask you, Luke, first. What do you think, DM? Should we get one in or what?
Really, because obviously Fernandinho has kind of been one of the main components of our title-winning seasons. And obviously Rodri's kind of come into the fold now. Best season so far, and obviously had a little bit of a dip in the last few weeks. But I think it is kind of a chance, maybe, if you were to give him a year, is it then kind of getting Lavia to be the understudy? Or is it a case of, like, do we let Fernandinho go or kind of bring him into a coaching side of things and then bring an understudy? But it's very hard to get a DM out there now who's kind of their level that would be happy to play second fiddle.
Well, look at this comment, for example, here. Declan Rice. Declan Rice, 150 million. Is that where we're going with this now?
Well, why? When we've kind of got, like, some of these comments I'm seeing with, like, Calvin Phillips or Kamara or even Aurelien Tchouameni, who you've already said. Like, for example, none of these players are going to play second fiddle or rotational. And I think that's the kind of situation we're dealing with here. Like, if we play Rodri as our main CDM, and then we have Lavia and Fernandinho as then backups, and kind of get Fernandinho an extra year to help develop Lavia and understand the position and kind of grow potentially. That's the one way I see it going. But I don't think any of these kind of come in and then be second fiddle, and that's kind of the situation we've got here at the moment. Do we bring someone in to replace Rodri, or do we keep it as it is, extend Fernandinho for a year, let him kind of sit aside and develop Lavia from like a coaching perspective, and then go from there? I think that's the kind of situation we've got at the minute, because none of them will play second fiddle to Rodri.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, Declan Rice isn't going to come in and hold bench. There's no way. And the thing is, we have to be careful with that as well, because you don't want a DM to come in and hold bench, because you can't have a DM come in on the pitch rusty. You can't. It won't work. I think Fernandinho, I think there might be an element of, even if he does get a contract extension, is how important he is off the field as well. I mean, we saw it the other day. Who was it against, where he was actually out of the dugout with Pep giving instructions to Rodri?
Derby, wasn't it?
Who was it?
Yeah, Derby, United.
What was it? Was it United? Where was it? Yeah, he was. He was out the
He was
dugout.
Talking to De Bruyne quite a lot, wasn't he?
Yeah, and I think something I speak on occasionally is the I don't know if you remember, but under Pellegrini, it was very clear that we had a lot of Argentinian and a lot of Spanish, right? The Spanish-speaking contingent. And under Pep, we've slowly moved it to Portuguese and Brazilian. And the figurehead of it, I feel, is Fernandinho. He seems to be the one, I think, with Jesus. I think Fernandinho's got a really strong relationship with him. I think he's like the leader of the Brazilian contingent almost. I'd almost see like you've got Walker as the leader of the English contingent. Then you've got Fernandinho, the leader of the Brazilian Portuguese contingent. And then you've got the actual club captain. Well, Fernandinho ultimately is the club captain as well, isn't he? So I don't know if there's an element of that to it as well. And I do believe at the moment, the one thing I'd say Rodri misses slightly is that Fernandinho style of football, that dark arts. He still needs to get to grips with that. And I think...
Yeah, the tactical fouls, as they say.
Exactly. I've seen him. He's really improved on that, though. And I remember witnessing in one game, Bernardo Silva try and chase a player down into our own half and then commit a foul. No, in fact, he's chasing a player down, trying to catch up to put in a good tackle. And Fernandinho just overtook Bernardo Silva and just pulled the guy back. And then as they were walking away, he was tugging at Bernardo Silva's shirt, as in just saying, just pull him down. Just
pull him down, Just pull him down.
And that's something that I think at times I still think, and now I see Bernardo Silva do it a lot more. And I think those type of things, Fernandinho being there, it's really important. And I'll be honest, the last couple of games, Steve, Rodri just has looked a little bit off the boil himself, like he's a little bit tired as well. So it's a hard one. I think this summer overall, with talking about transfers, this summer's such a hard one because obviously we're focusing on the fact we need a striker. And a lot of money is going to be spent on that. But the fact is, yes, we do still need a left back, right?
100%. That's my next position. I mean, Fernandinho, what you're saying about the leader, at the hotel at Palace, he was the leader. The Brazilian kids were all together. He came out. I had a chat briefly with a few players. Fernandinho was up for it, man. I was like, are we having these today or what? And he's like, yeah. I said, we're going to get smashed right into these, man. I said, get this team and drag it to that title. He's just going, yeah. And Fernandinho was like, yeah. And as a fan, that's what you want to hear, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You walk past like a wet lettuce. Fernandinho, I wish Fernandinho was 6-7 years younger, but you know what I mean? He's not. And at the end of the day, I think Pep does like him for the coaching style. I think he's got that mentality in the dressing room. But it's the legs in it, and like you say, Rodri has had a great start to the season, and he was a mountain. He does look a little bit tired. Whether he just needed a bit of a refresh, I don't know. But me personally, left back's been an issue. I know Cancelo's class, and I know Zinchenko's more than good enough. But an out-and-out left back, right? And I've looked. I watch football from all over the world, and some of the left backs out there are brilliant. But they're established at big teams. You're never going to get them. But I looked for a left back the other night that came on for England. The kid from Crystal Palace,
Tyreek Mitchell.
Now I'm not saying Tyreek Mitchell's the best left back in the world. He's not, but he's got great potential. And I think if you got him at a young enough age like now, and brought him into this setup, it could be a cheaper alternative, and it could save you millions, man. But that's my opinion. I mean, what do you guys think on him?
I don't think you get Mitchell for cheap. Kind of looking at the previous transfers Palace have dealt with. You look at Wan-Bissaka going to Man United, hasn't turned out great for him, but the price tag kind of there. You're looking at like 40, 50 million. Another kind of left-back name. Obviously, my dream of Theo Hernandez has kind of gone down the pan with him signing the extension at Milan. The other one I can really see when I watched him against United is Renan Lodi from Atletico Madrid. We'll see him.
Great player.
Yeah, you like him, don't you?
Another Brazilian kid as well. Yeah, he is a great player as well. But I think he costs a lot more. But I don't know. Pep just seems to it's like we've got a leak on the left side of the pitch, and Pep just picks up somebody and shoves them in the leak to plug the gap.
In the hole every now and then, isn't he? He's not really.
You know what I mean? It's mad, isn't it, man? It's mad.
Not fixing the leak.
The thing is, you got to remember as well is right, Steve, is at the moment Cancelo is our second choice right back or our first choice left back. You got to remember, right? At the moment we're talking about, do you know what? We've got a left back. We've got Walker's not a spring chicken, right? And over the next season or two, Walker's at any point, Walker's going to hit that age where his legs are going to start to go. At that point, if we switch Cancelo to the right, that leaves the left open. If we don't switch Cancelo to the right and we say, you know what, Cancelo's doing such a good job on the left, we need a right back. So it's one of them ones where ultimately I feel in the summer we need to get a fullback in, whether it be a right back or a left back, we need to get a fullback in. And yeah, it's finding the right one. And it's, we have had financially, we've had a good period. So hopefully we've got enough in the kitty to deal with both and maybe a DM as well.
So let me address this chat. Andrew, now I don't know if you've not took your medicine, right? But calm down, our kid, yeah? I can't believe you guys don't care about the money you pay for players. That's why most Man City fans hate you as a football club, which you are not. You're just a commercial enterprise. Now, let me tell you this, Andrew, yeah? Why the fuck, yeah, should I care about what money my football club spends? Because it's nothing to do with me. So if Sheikh Mansour has gone to school and earned and done all his things and inherited loads of money and he wants to spend that on my football club, then big up Sheikh Mansour. This chat just seems to me that your football club, whoever you support, he's obviously struggling, might be in the gutter. You might need a few quid. So instead of putting your energy on here, trying to call us Enterprise FC, you are clearly Skint FC. So get on your laptop, send an email to a sheikh or someone like that and see if they come and bail your club out. Because let me tell you, we're having the best time of our lives in Manchester.
Amen.
We're going to Wembley. We're going Madrid. We're going on the piss. And I tell you what, it's great. And it's not my money. So at the end of the day, Andrew, thanks for the chat, mate. But you're in the wrong place, Arkin.
The thing is as well, right, is the key to it is, like I used to say when we first got the money, you know what? If the Sheikhs decide to leave tomorrow, right, and they go and invest their money elsewhere, fine. You know what? Considering the first 20 years of my life that I had, 20 plus years of my life that I had, I'm fine. You know what? I'm happy with the last 10 we've had, and I'll say thank you. I've had a good 10 years, and now let it move on to Stockport. Let it move on to whoever the hell wants to have some money and have that experience. However, now it's got to a point where our infrastructure is so good, right? Yeah, we own our ground. We didn't before, right? We own all the land around our ground with the whole infrastructure on it. We own all our players. We're not paying no clubs back for our players. This is all assets. And we are now considered, although we will never call ourselves a big club, we're still Little City, right? We're now considered a big club to the point that now, if we do sell, we're going to be being sold for a lot of fucking money. And the people that come in and buy us are also going to be bringing a lot of fucking money. So, you know what? Exactly as Steve said, people don't care about the money being spent on anyone's club until they become successful. No one cared about the money. People actually used to say, do you know what? I've got a soft spot for City. I like it. Until we started fucking taking trophies off of their plate. Then all of a sudden, everyone wants to talk about the money being spent. But deep down, when there's talk of their club being bought by another club, all of a sudden they're twerking for every single investor. So
they're all dressed as sheikhs, dancing in the street.
Dancing for the money.
Newcastle fans, Newcastle fans, you need to be ready.
Do you know what
for
though, boys? Do you know what though, boys? People that say that to me, oh, what you gonna? The best one I've ever heard is, what you gonna do when the oil runs out? And I just laugh my head off at that, right? Because I just think, wow, man, wow, come on. And the best thing is that you can say to City fan, what you gonna do when the oil runs out? I tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna go back to being the same old City. We'll be week in, week out. Division 1, Division 2, Premier League, up one week, down the next week, because I tell you what, we've been there. So we can go back to that, no problem.
Yep.
It's the modern day super clubs like your Arsenal, your Man United, and all these that are having absolute full-on meltdowns because they're fifth. Like I said on the Lad Bible, you wouldn't know a meltdown if it hit you in the face. You wouldn't know a tragedy if it hit you in the face at the end of the day. So let us do what we're doing. Yeah, let us enjoy it because I think we deserve it. And you just have your little mini meltdowns and all your mini crises and get on with it, innit? And leave us alone. Yeah. But on that note, yeah, we need to touch on Burnley. Now, anyone that follows me knows I worry about Burnley at Turf Moor because Liverpool away, no problem. Chelsea away, not asked. Burnley away, shitting myself. So I don't know how you guys feel, but that might be the old Man City in me. But Burnley away, I always shit myself a little bit. Don't know why, I just do. So what do you think, guys? Are you confident? Are we going to go there, smash them off the park, get into that Liverpool game, full guns blazing? Or is it going to be another Crystal Palace job where we're struggling to get through, you know what I mean, and maybe scrape it?
It's always... Turf Moor's always kind of been a tough one in the past few seasons, hasn't it? And kind of looking on recent form,
they're fighting for the lives, man. Literally fighting for the lives.
And it's always been a case of when we come back from international break, we aren't the kind of team to hit the ground running 9 times out of 10 when we've came back from international breaks. And I think Burnley going to Turf Moor, this is like the worst time to do it. Most of their players have had a rest. None of them have kind of been out on international duty unless it's like Maxwell Cornet or something for Ivory Coast. Because I've seen him play against France, he came on. But yeah, it's kind of the worst time to go to Turf Moor, but I'm still kind of confident that we can get a result.
We need Sean Golter, mate, because every time Sean Golter played at Turf Moor, he's bagging frees.
We need someone like that, definitely, don't we?
It's one of those things where we need to make sure that we don't, because I posted something the other day about... it was a stupid little post of someone doing a mental dance saying, you know what, this is what me and Jan, Hold Tight Jan, are going to be doing. I've seen it. Yeah. And I was thinking, if we win our next 4 games, then I had to, hold on, it's not win our next 4 games. It's win our next 5 games before we get into the Champions League home and away, before we get into Liverpool at home, before we get into the cup, the semi-final. Feels like a cup final, that one, but till we get into the semi-final, we've got to play Burnley first. And I know Pep is that type of guy. He will have made sure the players know, let's not look at those games. Right now, we need to go to Burnley and do a number. And you know what? You look at Burnley's form, they've been playing well. They've been getting results. And
that Weghorst has been an unreal signing for him as well.
Yeah. And when people listed, like, when people been looking at our running and Liverpool's running and saying, oh, City have got an easier running, and then you look at some of the teams and you're going, hold on, just because, like, prime example, Palace away, harder game than Man United at home. On paper, it isn't, but we all know it is, right? We all know it is. And the same with this. This is a Burnley team that are having to fight for their lives to stay in the Premier League. Like, because if you're Burnley and you get relegated, there's a good chance you're not coming back for a while, right?
Yeah,
they haven't got, so they have to stay in the Premier League. They're not like, with all respect to Newcastle, they're not like Newcastle right now that do know if they get relegated, they'll be back soon because they've got the money to make sure they get back soon. Burnley get relegated, they're going to have a while till they get back up here. So it's not an easy game after the international break. You know, this is the unfortunate thing of being a club with international players. They go away on international duty. So we've got them coming back. You know, Bernardo Silva's coming back. He will probably play in the final. Cancelo may well. I think Fernandinho is actually touring Brazil with a trophy at the moment. But
He is.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a hard game. It's a hard game. We can't overlook it. We can't.
What do you think, Luke? Are you worried about it? Are you confident? Do you think City go there, get the result, and we move on, or are you thinking it's a potential banana skin?
I think I'm confident in us getting the result, kind of coming back from international break. Like that's kind of made key there. Like Pep's obviously going to kind of integrate into the players. Like this is a case of, again, one game at a time, and I think he does that really well, the way he comes across in like press conferences, and if he comes across like that to the players as well, like they'll definitely understand that it's a case of we have to win this to then get that winning momentum going into Liverpool. Like if we get a bad result here, then we're kind of scratching to recover against Liverpool. We need a win 99%. If we get a bad result against Burnley. So I think it's kind of instilling that we need to get 3 points here to then go into the Liverpool game with even more confidence, especially coming off the back of an international break. But I'm pretty confident. I think it'll kind of be like a 2-0 game. But I think it's very important that we get a goal early. Because I think if they're sitting back and we're kind of letting them absorb the pressure, and then they've got players like Weghorst and McNeil who are good players, kind of hit us on the counter once, get a goal, then it's that whole typical City thing again. We're fighting backs against the wall and it's tough. But if we get a goal early on in the first half, then I think it's kind of that confidence to then run away with it.
I just think the way I see it going is, obviously, against Crystal Palace, we were frustrated. We created loads of chances, hit the woodwork, couldn't get through. We took a point at Crystal Palace. Yeah, okay, take it. Then we moved on to the Southampton game. Anyone on paper sees the result 4-1, you think Man City smashed them. Anyone that watched it realises that we didn't smash them. It was, it was patient and we got there in the end. But what I think is with City at the minute, teams that defend very, very low in the low block, we're struggling to get through, and we're sort of on the edge of the padlock, sticking the key in, trying to find which way we can open it up and get through. And I just think, like what you said, if we can get an early goal, it settles the fans down, because the City fans, a little bit of nerves creeping in. I've noticed it in the away end. People are getting a bit edgier. I think if we can get an early goal, City calm down. If we don't get an early goal, we've got to be patient. We've got to be patient, and we've got to be wary of giving away stupid free kicks and set pieces, because Burnley will punish you with set pieces and free kicks. So, you know what I mean? We just need to calm down. I just think if we're patient and we start doing what we do, keep the ball, force Burnley to chase us around, knock it around, a bit like the training session we had at the Swamp and the training session against them here. Keep the ball and eventually just take Burnley's soul, take them to depths where they think, you know what, we're fucked here, and then just get the win. And I'll take a 1-0 Jack Grealish off his ass the way I'm feeling at the minute. I don't care. I tell you.
That's a shout, that definitely.
But,
this is why we needed, Steve. This is why we needed 10 days off.
We did, mate. We did, man. We did. But listen, boys, we're coming towards the end of the stream. This has been my first ever live video on my channel. People go, oh, Big Steve, he's everywhere. I am everywhere, but I'm on other people's channels, and I've never done this on my own channel, because usually Saeed tries to teach me, and I don't get it, because I'm always reading the chat. I forget things and all that. But listen, I wanted to bring you two guys on. You're good friends of mine. You know your football. You know Man City. We all go to the games together when we relax. So I thought it'd be comfortable for me. It won't be awkward and all that. I want to big up all the supporters of me. There's over 220 live watching. I've had loads of messages. You know, I get so much support of my club. It's unbelievable. And I appreciate every single Man City supporter. So all I want to say is thanks first to Daps and Luke for coming on, because I appreciate it. And listen, lads, you know, this is going to be a regular thing for me. We're going to try and do it. I'm going to try and mix it up a little bit. Obviously, I come on the Feed the Goat podcast with you guys and that. And listen, Man City fans as a community, we've all got to stick together. I don't like to see this diversity where people split down the middle. No City fans better than other City fans. Some City fans go every week, some can't. Some live in South Africa, some live in India, some live in London, some live in Middlesbrough, some live everywhere. But at the end of the day, we don't ever want to fall out and be like other fan bases where it's toxic. We all want to be together, support each other, you know, look after each other, because there's no better football club in this world than that one there.
And you know what it is? And Steve, this is why you're the voice of City. This is it. Like this is why everyone's looking up to you from City, bro. Because you are the voice of City. You are one of the originals from Manchester, from Main Road. But you know what? I speak to Hold Tight Gundo, who's from America, and he's one of these kind of newer City fans, but he's so invested. He flies over from America very regularly, right? So you can't knock that for starters. Now, secondly, the amount of research he does on everything to do with the club, and he says when he gets excited about things, I'm the total opposite. And he says, this is why we need to be connected from the new fan base and the old fan base so that we can learn off of the old fan base about the typical City ways, about the way that we kind of always worry that we're going to muck it up or whatever. So it's, but this is what I keep saying. We're ready to burst through the door. Steve's got the shotgun and we're ready to burst through behind him. So pause.
We're having it, mate. And listen, I'm just me, yeah. I'm just me, and I just love my football team, and I've always got time for everybody, and I've just invested a lot of my life in this football club. But when this football club touches you, you just can't. It just gets a grip of you like nothing else. And I tried to explain it on the Lad Bible, and it touched a lot of people's hearts. That did, but that just came from my soul. Yeah, and at the end of the day, on these streams, we can even talk about Main Road and some of the madness that we got up to. But listen, it's the first one. I'm so happy it went. I just want to say big up to everybody. Daps, where can they find you, mate?
So on all socials, MCFC Daps, and then the YouTube channel is Feed the Goat Podcast and Never a Foul, but most importantly, Feed the Goat Podcast. And
what about you, Luke?
Yeah, it's just the same. Like on Twitter, MCFC Luke B, and then it's just my name on Instagram, Luke_Bradburn, and then the same on the YouTube. You'll find me on there, Feed the Goat. Quite regular, me and Daps, and then 2 other hosts. So yeah, make sure you drop Luke and Sam soon as well.
Right, brilliant, lads. Right, listen, people, that's enough from me. I've got family and kids at home who are screaming, "Where's my dad?" And Dad's again talking about City. It doesn't go down well, so I'm going to leave you with that. Big love. Hit the like button. Leave a comment, respect, and remember, we are the South Stand. We are the South Stand.
MCFC.
Okay.